As the custom in a transition for the school board every year, as you know, they have an election. Many of you got out to vote last week, and so the first order ought to be congratulations to our re-elected school board members who are sitting right over here to my right. Thank you. Mr. DeLuca is serving his second term, and Mrs. Ring is serving her fourth term here as school board member, so congratulations to both of you. By law, because of the transition period, the superintendent opens the meeting, calls the meeting to order, and the first order of business that I would like to conduct until we elect a new chairperson is to do that. So I will open the floor for...
Should we have...
Well, I was going to let the new chair do that. We would open the floor to nominations for the position of chairperson for the Hampton School Board. Yes.
I would like to nominate Les Shepherd for chairman.
A second.
Mr. Shepherd has been nominated in second. Is there any other nominations? I would take a motion to close the floor then.
Make a motion to close the floor?
Second.
There being no other nominations, then by proclamation, all those in favor of Mr. Shepherd as our chair for the second term?
I'll abstain.
Come on, Les.
I suppose
Make it
we
unanimous.
will allow that. Thank
Guess I
you.
can put this back.
So you can put that back on, and by the way, you can have the hand
Thank you.
raised.
There we go. I didn't want to be presumptuous.
We'll get
Okay.
$100 when we go out the door?
Could we all stand for the pledge of allegiance? It's flagged up there. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. Can I have a nomination for a vice chair?
I nominate Ginny Bridle. Second.
Seconded by Pepper. Any other nominations? Any discussion? All those in favor of Jenny as vice chair?
I'm staying, yes.
We will go through and do the other appointments and reorganization in a little bit. What I'd like to do, we have some folks here for the artwork. We'll turn it over to you folks.
You want us to introduce, or what do you like?
However you'd like to do it.
You got it? Yeah, you got it.
We're so lucky tonight to be able to share with you some exciting stuff that's going on in Hampton. Fortunately, we have a guest with us tonight, Don Jenkins. He is, if you want to come on up with me, he is sort of the lead for the Providence Vanguard Show. I don't know if you want to talk just a minute about the Providence Vanguard Show and what it's become, and then what we do.
I will, thank you. The Youth Impressions Art Show, as we have named it for the past few years, in Hampton was started 6 years ago as a joint effort between the Hampton Arts Network, which is a group of Hampton area artists, the Provident Bank and their lobby for the arts program that they have, and the Hampton schools. And the school board was part of our approval to be able to include the students in Hampton in this. We include students in the Hampton schools in grades 3 through 8. That was the original focus of the Hampton Arts Network, was to give some recognition and some encouragement to the younger budding artists. High school students are great artists too, but they generally have more opportunities to show their work, and the younger students don't outside of the school. So just a little bit, the Youth Impressions Art Show is an actual juried art show, which means that not every piece of art gets to hang in the show. We have 3 Hampton Arts Network artists each year who volunteer their time to judge and select from over 100 to sometimes 150 pieces that Jenny and Donna from Hampton Academy and the art teacher at Sacred Heart School, we include them too. They submit pieces of art that they feel should be representative. Then our artists go through that for hours, really, and just like they would if they were jurying an adult show, they select for artistic merit the pieces that can hang in the show. They select 25 pieces out of over 100. And then from those 25, they further judge them and select from 2 age groups, younger students, 3, 4, and 5, and older students, grades 6, 7, and 8. They select first, second, and third place pieces. We do not announce those initially. We hang all 25 pieces. They've been hanging for over a month at the Provident Bank and the art show. Many parents, grandparents, and others have gone by to look at them. They can vote for People's Choice winners. We have those here tonight too. So the student pieces and the awards that we'll be presenting tonight are for those that were either chosen by our artists as juried place winners or the People's Choice ribbons that were chosen by the visitors to the show. And then there are several other pieces that are still hanging over at the Provident Bank. And I will return these pieces there too, because the show continues until the first week of April. So if you haven't had a chance to go by and see all 25 pieces, it's worth your time. Thanks, John.
So, like Dawn said, you know, we take a lot of pride in this event, and you know, to be a student chosen for this show is such a big moment. And I always tell the kids, I think I was in my first juried art show when I was in my 20s. So to be in a juried art show at such a young age is really cool. Amber Levine was kind enough to bring a slideshow. I wanted to give you a chance before we even just show you the winners, to just show you a couple other pieces that are hanging at the bank in case you don't get a chance to go. I don't know if we can flash through those really quickly. So these are just some of the pieces that were chosen. This piece actually was designed after a local artist who focuses on bugs. She does a bug coloring book. She actually came to Marston yesterday and spoke to the kids. It was very cool. They got to meet her and see what it's sort of like to be an artist in the working world. So this was kind of a piece based off that. The Aboriginal dot paintings, another bug, some watercolor paintings. This was a 3rd grader, 8 years old. Very, very amazing work. So just beautiful work, printmaking. Dawn actually asked, the jury asked how much of the printmaking the kids actually did. They wondered how much the art teacher did, and I did none of it. The kids do it all, start to finish every project, so it's pretty cool. And that's it. So tonight, unfortunately, Donna couldn't be with us from the middle school, so I'm going to also share some of her students. But I'm going to call the kids up. Guys, why don't you come on up over here? Come on in.
Come to the front.
Filter in with your work.
Jenny, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do they do all of this work at school?
At school.
Okay, so
In
it's all
our
done at
classes,
school?
yep.
Okay.
So so let's come on in. And then maybe what we can do is you can. So maybe what we can do is you can introduce yourself and maybe you can say what you did to share with them. So we'll just start with you, Elizabeth, if that's okay.
My name is Elizabeth Furtado, and I'm in grade 4. And I did this watercolor piece of a peacock, and I outlined it, and I did some of the details with oil pastels and My name's Lucy Gelfstein, and I did a watercolor painting, and I'm in grade 4 of a bird flying, and I outlined it in crayon and oil pastel. My name is Harvey Reynolds and I made this bird, and I'm in grade 4. My name is Miranda Smedstead, and I made a ink print of a city, and I'm in grade 5.
My name is Zane Frazier, and I did 2 paintings actually. One is a watercolor and ink painting, and the other one is a print painting of the city, and I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Laura Hivery, and I'm in 6th grade, and I did a chalk painting of a beagle.
My name is Grace O'Connor, and I'm in 8th grade, and I did an oil pastel.
So, as you can see, very talented young students, and just very talented young students. Actually, Dawn was saying that very rarely do we have kids who get put in twice or are awarded 2 prizes, and in front of you are some of those students, and we're so proud of them. They've done such great work, and I mean, the fact that students are doing this kind of work at this grade level just happens because we have the support of you guys, we have the support of other teachers, our principals, and the kids, they just excel in the arts. So.
Jenny, could they turn around so the audience could see the picture? Turn around.
And could Elizabeth just talk again? She didn't get a chance.
Oh, sure. Elizabeth, I just want you to talk again because you didn't have the mic.
My name is Elizabeth Furtado, and I'm in grade 4. I did this watercolor painting of a peacock, and I outlined it with oil pastel and crayon.
I think the inspiration for a lot of this work is it comes from different artists. We study a lot of different artists in school. We study different mediums. We try to expose students to different types of work. The birds, 4th grade learns about birds, so we kind of try to tie that back in. Buildings, I mean, you start to learn about architecture and structure and how to make prints and how to we use recycled materials. I was telling these guys, we use market basket foam plates that you put your broccoli on. We cut them, we take paper, we draw the buildings, we transfer it into the foam, we print from recycled materials. So a lot of inspiration. I try to, and I know Donna does the same, give an example, and then they get to have an experience of their own from an example. So it's great.
Did parents need to take pictures? Any parents? Or are we good on that?
Good? Okay. Thank you for having us, and thanks for your support. Thank you all the way.
We'll take a break just for a minute while folks make their way.
Thank you.
Is that only extracurriculars?
And I know Mr. Lannon's crew down there at Center does some amazing work as well. They're just not quite ready to be jury, but
That's all right, we're practicing.
practicing. Good job down there too. It's been a few years.
Okay, come back to order. I'm going to read this letter that we received regarding the Public School Infrastructure Fund. Hampton School Board voted your approval of our application to the Public School Infrastructure Fund at the December 12th, 2017 board meeting. In letters dated February 26, 2018, the Commissioner of Education notified the superintendent that the applications for all 3 Hampton buildings were approved at 80% of project costs, reflecting the anticipated 20% local match. Our applications proposed improvements to building security in all 3 of our school buildings. The submissions addressed upgrades in 3 essential categories: surveillance, access control, emergency alerting. Below are the building and categorical fiscal breakdown of the approved applications. Surveillance, Hampton Academy, $35,400. Marston School, $27,500. Center School, $32,000. Access control, Hampton Academy, $221,500. Marston School, $203,900. Center School, $179,500. Emergency alert, Hampton Academy, $45,600. Marston School, $43,600. Center School, $43,000. For Hampton Academy, the application total was $302,500. Marston School, $275,000. Center School, $254,000. So the state award at 80% is $242,000. Marston School, $220,000, and Center School, $203,600. We will be matching for Hampton Academy $60,500, Marston School $55,000, excuse me, and Center School $50,900. Local match for Hampton Academy would be funded from the reconstruction renovation project. Local match for Marston School and Center will be funded from the recent long-term maintenance warrant articles. We invite the board to formally accept this award and authorize spending of the local match.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Pepper,
I'll second it.
seconded by Frank. Any discussion?
Just so we know, the total is $832,000, which is awesome. It's great for Hampton and well-deserved, and thank you, Kathleen, and those who helped me put this grant in.
All right, so, can I add to that? Special thanks to Nathan also, and to Keith Lassard, because they worked on the grant and worked with our construction people in getting bids and amounts of money and what we would need and how much that would cost. So I really appreciate their help.
So before we vote, this is really a public hearing on this. Any comments from the public? Okay, we'll vote. Ready for the question? All those in favor? Unanimous. I didn't move to have a second public hearing. We'll have to close it. I know. Okay, we have a couple of things that we need to do. I missed it. Who is the vice chair? Ginny, I'm sorry. I was
How
doing
soon
I
you
was doing
forget.
something else. Okay. We will go through all of the positions that we need to fill. BudCom,
I nominate Frank DeLuca.
I second.
any other nominations? All those in favor? BudCom alternate?
Nominate Ginny Bridle.
I'll second that.
You good with that, Ginny?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay, anyone else? All those in favor? 5-0. Building and Facilities.
I nominate Andrea. She's been working on that diligently.
Second.
Moved Frank, seconded Ginny. Anybody else? Let's vote. All those in favor? Andrew abstains. CIP, I did that. I don't mind doing it. If
I
somebody else
nominate
wants
you.
to do it, they can do it.
Second.
Anybody else? All those in favor? I'll vote for myself for that one.
There you go.
Alternate? Anybody want to?
I nominate Pat.
Okay. I guarantee you, you won't have to do anything on that one.
We have enough.
Once a year.
Seconded?
Second.
All right. Anybody else want to do it? All those in favor? Curriculum, I think, were you doing that?
I nominate Andrea.
Second.
Anybody else want to do it? All those in favor? I was-
Because he did such a wonderful job and
I-
kept us
I
informed.
agree. I
nominate
agree.
Les Shepherd for doing
I
the
second
school
that.
board association delegate.
Off to Concord I'll go.
Yeah, you love it.
Well, that would fit in well with the winter kind of.
It's only one Saturday.
I'll second that.
Okay.
You get
It's a
Anybody else
day
want to
to
do
delay
it?
him. No.
All right. All those in favor?
Who seconded that?
Alternate, in case I get a cold that day.
Oh, I nominate Andrea.
Oh, gee.
Second.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Policy? Pepper, was that you?
I nominate Pepper.
I second that.
Anybody else interested? All those in favor? Thank you, Pepper. Did you do professional development also? You want to continue?
I would. It's a wonderful place.
I'll nominate her.
Second.
All those in favor? You're on a roll here, Pepper. Rec department.
I nominate Pepper.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? I don't know who the alternate was.
Oh, I'll nominate Jenny.
Oh, thank you.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Scheduling?
Who did that?
Nominate Les Shepherd.
Second. That sounds great.
Oh, wait a minute. You
Is that
did.
scheduling?
It's really become it was a committee that we had
Used
for a
to be,
long time, but it
right.
really has become a committee that we bring the schedules every 2 years to you and you review them. There hasn't been any major changes. I mean, for instance, in David's building, he's already started it, so they're meeting with teachers. I'm wondering if that's something that you need to continue to do. But
I don't remember having that.
Yeah, we used to.
We did.
used to.
we did when there were concerns that,
Why don't we just leave it blank right now? I make.
Well, is there anybody who has an interest in it? I don't particularly, I do it, but. Do you have an interest in it? Okay. I nominate Andrea.
I second.
All in favor?
All right, get rid of it.
then, Dave, you just have to, Dave, you'll have to keep Andrea in the loop when you
Absolutely.
meet.
Seacoast
I
Learning
did that.
Collaborative, you did, you wanted to keep doing
Sure.
it? Okay. Nominate Frank, second.
Second.
Pepper. All those in favor? Okay. Wellness? Who did that? You did it?
I was kind of on the wellness committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, stay.
I'll nominate Andrea. Keep it going.
Did we get a second?
Second.
Pepper? All those in favor? And other? Anybody think of any other? Well, if we do, we'll address it at a future
If
meeting.
anybody comes up with anything.
Yeah, you'll have negotiations in the fall.
Oh, so we should
But
nominate
You don't have to
someone.
do that now, you can kind
Okay, I
of figure out how
nominate,
it
I nominate Les
fleshes out.
Shepherd for that.
It's not teachers, it's paras, right? Aren't they
No.
up first? Paras are up first.
Yes.
This year, and then
Negotiations,
teachers will be the next year.
negotiations, I nominate Les.
I didn't hear a second.
I'll second it.
Second. You're busy.
I was a little slow, I apologize.
That's okay.
All those in favor?
I gotta add that to the list.
Yeah.
Then,
Yep.
I'll take care of that.
And
The following year's teacher
you,
contract.
Okay.
you can decide.
He can just stay on.
Depending on how you want to do it, maybe you want to just start with that. We'll have some conversation about it.
Yeah.
You might want to have two. Normally, we've had to, they bring 4 or 5, we have at least one board member, and then we can decide from our first conversations what to do next.
Anybody else want to be on negotiations?
I
Tough
can't.
for you.
I would.
All right. I nominate Ginny.
Second.
Second, Pepper. All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that finishes those.
Good job.
Yeah. So when we go through board member updates, we'll go with the previous people. Okay, not the new people. So budget committee, Ginny.
Budget committee met last night. They had their organizational meeting. Tim Citizen Jones is the chairman. Michael Plouffe is the vice chair. So,
CIP committee, nothing. Wellness committee, Andrea?
We've got a meeting coming.
We have a meeting coming up, so I know there's a 5K, a Couch to 5K race that is being presented, and hopefully people are joining in and getting ready to get off the couch and do 5K. But we do have a meeting coming up.
Okay. School Boards Association. Nothing really, except a letter that I got. I gave it to Ginny.
it's inviting
Andrea
us.
has it, I'll pass that. It's not really from the School Boards Association, but you may want to look at it. Rec Department, Pepper, there must be an Easter egg hunt or
Well-
something coming up.
We hope, Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yes, but you really have to watch for the weather. Because if it's all, if you get a foot of snow, there's no place to bury the eggs. So they will determine that at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And then they'll put it on their Facebook or their website as to whether it's on or off. If it's on, it is at 11 o'clock, down by the bandstand out in the sand.
We do have the Easter Bunny breakfast.
We do have the Easter Bunny breakfast, 8 to 10:30 at Hobbs House, 200 High Street. There'll be games, raffles, and a full breakfast, and pictures with the Easter Bunny, and it's $5 per person.
Fingers crossed.
Anything else, Pepper? Building committee, Andrea?
Yeah, we met today, and just a couple of updates. They have more tradesmen coming in on site over the next couple of weeks. It could be a little bit of a parking issue, but probably not. We'll probably get that worked out. Storage trailers were moved, and the wheelhouse will be moved. The drop-off is going well, drop-off and pickup. Let's see. The site drainage is being completed. There was a tiny little bit of an odor, but nothing to speak of. Kids seem to be adjusting really well to the various sounds that they hear outside and not being too distracted, although when it's something really cool to look at, the kids are all encouraged to go and at least look at what's going on and kind of get involved in that way. Phasing plan is being slightly revised to make it a little more efficient and also to keep flexibility. We won't make any decisions regarding 6th grade, stay, go, whatever, until the April meeting. Although I know the teachers and kids feel very comfortable at Marston, they feel very welcomed, pretty happy there. Let's see, we talked about exterior, interior, windows and things like that, interior design, community room, we talked about bathrooms and things like that, there will be one for that. Anyone that doesn't necessarily have a bathroom, like right there, will have bathroom facilities very, very close by. Let's see. Oh, every Friday night, I thought this was pretty cool. Every Friday night, the contractors and subcontractors get an email telling them what they're working on in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So every Friday night, this is being revisited, and I think that's a really great thing. I guess the big thing to me is if people in the public want to see, what's going on, the plan, the budget proposal, things like that, they can go to the superintendent's office. It's all available there. No one's trying to keep anything hidden. Just go to the superintendent's office if you want to see the, financial plan and how that's going, which it's going great. And if you want to see the additions, renovations, and all the things that are happening in the timeline, you can find that at the superintendent's office. So things are going really well, really well. That's it.
Questions? Okay. Curriculum?
I think I missed the world language meeting, and I apologize. Is there anything that I need to know from that?
They're just continuing their work.
Okay.
And they're in great shape. They're 2/3 of the way through their competencies, and they'll do the last piece and have that ready towards the end of the year. And once that's ready, we'll post it up on our website. They made some recommendations about their own professional development and want to continue the discussion with Dave around how the curriculum should be laid out in terms of grades 6, 7, and 8. And they want to be able to be in collaboration with the high school. So both of the language teachers want to continue the discussion with Dave and his staff.
Okay, great. And
Can
social.
I ask a question regarding world language? Are we looking at possibly expanding that to the lower grades?
It's funny that you brought that up because that was part of the discussion. They've always felt pretty strongly that the opportunity for youngsters to be exposed at Marston School, it was really important to the development of their language. As a matter of fact, Dr. Costa has expressed an interest. This week, with the PTA's after-school activities, Nicole Wilcox will be teaching a foreign language after school to the students here at Marston. So we're kind of seeing what the interest is and whether that's viable and whether we might introduce that. I know there are other school districts in the area that provide world language, French or Spanish in the lower grades.
Have we looked at possibly expanding that to offer Chinese? Only saying that because obviously, not to upset people, but French is going by the way German went years ago. Because when I went to school, it was German that was offered and French and Spanish. And I'm just looking at, Chinese because of China.
Right, that's a great question. Chinese was offered by a number of schools in New Hampshire. They actually have over at the university a whole program of Chinese, Mandarin. The problem they've had in this state is they can't find teachers. All the schools have actually, a number of high schools have dropped Chinese because they can't find certified teachers. So I know the university was working really hard to try to fill that void. But to date, I haven't heard any more than that. But that was the biggest issue for having the language in the high school, Chinese.
Thank you.
Social studies, we talked quite a bit. They're getting a lot of staff support from Dr. Driscoll. We're looking at a lot of summer work. The middle school is reviewing their I-CAN statements, and hopefully they'll get some days over the summer to complete that work, combining standards and then get the assessment sorted out. Marston, they're continuing again to work on their standards, and I think what I heard was maybe picking 2 to 3 standards for each grade level. And K through 2, again, ICANN statements are being looked at, and a number of resources were given. Teachers Pay Teachers, GetEpic.com, PEG, and we were given an article from the Marshall Minutes, which I used over 30 years ago, so I think the Marshall Minutes are something that's really good for all schools and all teachers to look at. It's got a lot of good information on a variety of topics. That's where we stand.
Professional development, Peppa?
We met this week, and a lot of work got done. Most of the committee's here. Thank you. But it was amazing to sit there and the interaction, you know, having been on the other side and been a teacher, and that just go right at it, and they're so full of energy, and they get right down to things. And I know they're gonna really look forward to the beginning of the school is when they'll really sit down and, you know, get their things in order a little bit more. But, I mean, they're looking at Ed Camp for professional development, it's online. Am I correct, Amy? Ed Camp? Is that?
It's more of like, there's a Seacoast one right now, and so it's
that's
more of
the
like a
area.
collaborative,
Yeah.
where teachers throw out ideas of what they want, and then there's other teachers who kind of volunteer to kind of teach that. So we're kind of want to use the wealth that we have of knowledge in our own district to help other teachers kind of expand or broaden their horizons a little bit. So we were looking at trying to maybe do something here in Hampton just for our Hampton teachers.
And then I think the other big thing was, they felt they needed more people in each building on the committee to look at your professional development. 5 people, 1 for each grade level, so there's 3 grade levels in each building, a sped person and an art person as well as, so that would make up the team. So it was, I thought it was very productive, it really was.
Thank you. Any questions for Peppa? Okay, moving along. Principals reports. Tim?
Good evening, everyone. I got a chance to look at my report, just a couple of highlights. Just a reminder that kindergarten information night is April 5th, coming up quickly, so we're looking forward to a robust kindergarten enrollment for next year. We're very, very hopeful. I want to thank you all for guest reader and coming, the folks that came to guest reader day at Center School is really appreciated. The month of March is a giant month dedicated to literacy, so we continue to go on with multiple events around literacy. Unfortunately, our family literacy night that we've done a ton of planning for got postponed due to the weather, so that is postponed till April 18th. We hope that the folks at home get that information as well as you guys, April 18th. So, continue to do great things with demonstrated success and staff development. A lot of work going on here for trimester 2, the end of trimester 2, with COCAD conferences coming up. So we're very busy at Center School. There's a lot going on, tons of after-school activities, Lego Club. I've got a Lego Club in kindergarten, the Lego Club, and so thank you very much for your continued support. If you have any questions for Center School?
How's the preschool?
Preschool is very full, extremely full. It's going very well. And they're getting a lot of training as well. They're going to their networking and so forth. So we're meeting the needs right now, Frank. They're doing a nice job. But we can never be at capacity, so we take them all. The enrollment is continually ongoing. And Jessica and I continue to meet on a regular basis about preschool home. It's going very well. We have 10 students moving into kindergarten preschool this year. So that's a good start. So that's classroom work 10.
I know you know this because I know you know this because you mentioned it to me. Births in Hampton.
Yeah.
24 last year.
Look at the annual reports, but we hope there's a lot of movements coming in.
Yeah.
If you look back 10 years ago, there was 100 or so live births in all the years. It seems to be on a decline, the live births in Hampton, but not all Hampton births do come to Hampton, so you never know how things pan out.
Yeah.
But, when you start looking at numbers and you start looking at it. Because the kindergarten is the unknown, you don't know, so you just
Right.
try to track any numbers you can find. But,
Did you ever compare them to the last few years? I didn't.
yeah, they were low 20s. The last time they were high was about 2009, 2010, and then they started to drop off.
Okay.
So, if you look at the previous annual report, you can get that.
Yeah.
That's all.
But your enrollment numbers
Yeah.
from
Yeah, we got to
where you
85.
were
We got to
increased
85.
dramatically.
Yeah. You always hope for 100. My goal is always to get to 100. Kindergarten enrollment is open right now, the home up in March, start by Sunday school, pick up a packet if you're homeless, and we can get those numbers for you as soon as possible.
Any other questions?
Is the April 5th date on your website?
It absolutely is, yeah, it's right on the
Okay.
front page. Yeah.
Somebody had asked me to.
The notification went to 19 area preschools and pediatricians, and it's on all. It's been in the newspaper. It's been in the Hampton Union several times. So we're blasting websites, we're blasting out as many places as Facebook, Twitter. We're doing it all. So we're doing the best we can advertising.
But you improved by 15%.
Yeah.
Dramatically from enrollment. From August 1st of last year to now, March 1st, it was a 15% increase.
So it's a low enrollment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Costa?
I just wanted to ask about Randy Pierce.
Yes, you know about Randy Pierce. He is actually a gentleman that unfortunately is blind. He was born seeing, and unfortunately it was a terrible accident where he went blind. But he is a hiker and an inspiration for students. He sends a great message where you can overcome any obstacles if you have the determination and the heart to do so. And he's been coming a number of years to visit the third grade as part of their unit. And he talks a lot about character development and perseverance. And, you know, Emily Moore was here, but Mike stepped out. But just a fantastic opportunity for our students. Good friends with Lisa Lemire Dave Berman. So good friend and a local gentleman. He's done extensive hiking and pretty accomplished in spite of everything he's been through.
I'd like to compliment you and Tim for all the after-school activities that you run, and obviously with plenty of kids that are just so interested in taking advantage of that. That's wonderful.
You were here today. I think there were maybe, 50 kids on the bus in total, and maybe 25 at the top. It's amazing how many boys and girls are staying after today for Wicked Wonderful Wednesdays in the next 4 weeks. This week included just some great opportunities and offerings. So kids are really fortunate.
And I thought it was awesome that a bus takes kids to Connected Elephant, which I didn't realize, which is, that's wonderful.
The rec department, yeah.
That's really good.
PTA has really done a phenomenal job. That's some great coordinators.
Any other questions?
So Lois, if we add the Connected Elephant children, we add the Wicked Wednesdays, and do you do after-school help as well?
We do academic assistance on Monday and Tuesday. We also do instrument lessons on Monday and Tuesday, yes.
What's the guesstimate of the percentage of kids that spend an extra hour at school?
You know, it varies depending on the day and depending what's going on. For example, when we did the variety show, obviously kids are staying out for that. When we do fifth grade performances, they're staying after school for that. We now are offering 2 teams of Girls in the Run on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so it varies with the fall and the spring session. So that's a great question, but a number of kids are taking advantage of all of the different offerings that we do have.
For our next meeting, do you think you might be able to put together, again, a rough estimate of the percentage of students that you have
Yeah, I mean,
participating? Maybe even between you and Tim, because, I know he's got
Yeah.
quite a few too.
Definitely keep in mind that some participate in multiple events and some participate, picking and choosing. So, but I can certainly pull those numbers together. We have it. It's just a matter of compiling it. but I would say there easily are almost 200 kids doing what they want for Wednesdays, given the number of offerings on Wednesdays. And then homework club is probably another 50. Girls on the Run, another 30. So you're up to 280.
Some of the after-school activities are limited because of space. For
Yeah.
example, some of my Minecraft or something. But for example, Lego Club today, 84, 85 kindergartners total. 61 of them stayed after for Lego Club today. So, you know, so if you talk about Lego Club, it's talking 75% stayed for today, right? So, but some of them are a little smaller. So it does vary, but you know, you can get a good population. And we try to make sure if you weren't picked for something, you get picked for something else. We try to have an equitable basis.
And
as
do
well.
we compensate the staff? I mean, I know a lot of the staff stay and participate in this.
There's some of them
Should
do
thi-
get.
Should this
yep.
be something that we as a board look at, compensating staff for the amount of work that they do with these after-school clubs?
We're very lucky that the PTA volunteers to run my Lego Club, so I have the moms and the dads do it for us on the Lego Club. But some of the other things are under stipended positions.
Okay, so I would like to, in the future, look at some way that we could compensate the staff that stay after and provide all these programs.
We do.
We do. He's jumping in on the extracurricular.
Pretty
But I can
much.
tell you when it comes to homework club and it comes to instrument lessons, there is a stipend. There's actually an hourly rate. I can tell you that people who do Girls on the Run, even though it's not school sponsored, I find a stipend. Ski club, over 100 kids. We compensate them for there's a stipend with that. I mean, when fifth grade does the after-school play rehearsal, Gus gets a stipend for that. With the fifth grade, we have at least 75% of our kids that are staying after school for that. So there are a number of opportunities that we can provide stipends. There are also times there's also times when they need an extra hand, so they stay. Like for the fifth grade performance, you know, the fifth grade teachers will stay if they can. For the variety show, people will stay if they can.
And the Wednesdays.
The
like
Wicked
now,
Wonderful Wednesdays, we do, depending on what's going on, right, yeah.
I just want them to know, and I know the superintendent does too, but we want them to know that we appreciate them staying, but I also know from a teacher point of view that it's nice to get a little compensation here and there.
I couldn't agree more, and I think we've been very open with you about that, even when it came to ski club, where, you know, end of the week, and we have staff that doesn't get home until 8 o'clock at night. You know, at the end of the week in January, February, that can get, those are long days, at the end of a long week, and you know, you guys have been very generous in supporting my request.
You know, in your budget, you have money set aside for Center and for Marston. Of course, Hampton Academy has their, their own list, but, we can always look at that again at budget time. But Lois and Tim do find ways to be able to compensate them. But you gotta remember, they do volunteer too.
No, and I know.
They are very generous with their time, and
Been there, done that.
they just think it's part of what they do every day, and it's greatly appreciated.
Well, I also think this is interesting data to have, because as time goes on, we're gonna, at some point, maybe talk about lengthening days, maybe sometime talk about how to make up things, and if parents are upset about lengthening days, it's already like that.
Well, the issue of lengthening days becomes a state issue.
Becomes a state issue.
Because I believe Wolfboro tried to extend their days, and they had to go to the state, and the state said no.
Right, you are only allowed by law for a certain number of hours at the elementary and the middle level. For instance, at Hampton Academy, the minimum standards indicates only 6 hours. So Dave can't go over 6 hours, and Hampton Academy is 6 hours. At the elementary, it's 5 3/4. It's I have to remember those numbers, 5 3/4 of instructional time. And when we analyzed Center and Marston, they were 5 3/4. So they already are at maximum that the state allows for youngsters in school. Frank's right, you can't go over that.
Thank you, thanks for asking.
But there are
Yeah,
others.
wait.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Everybody all set?
Thank you.
Dave?
Good evening.
I got this. So Tuesday, March 13th, your 8th graders did not get to go.
No, they didn't. No.
Now, it's my information, I don't know if it's true or not. They don't make that up though.
No, because they do it, remember, the Winnicott kids aren't there because it's election day. And this is actually the second year in a row. Remember, we had snowstorms on both our election days. However, Winnicott did put together a pretty extensive packet of information. And we spoke to the guidance department. And we've walked the kids through. Right now, they're working on choosing their electives. So our guidance teachers, classroom teachers are working with the kids. They've opened the portal at Winnicott. You can't, unfortunately, there's no substitute from actually getting over there. So we're trying to work with Winnicott and maybe do a virtual tour where we actually, like a Facebook Live or something where we walk through and we get a tour by a guidance counselor and do something like that. They have other opportunities to go there, but they're all at night. They're not when the school is in session and the staff is there. So it's unfortunate.
It is, because I know 8th graders in other schools were disappointed as well. I just wish Winnicott could have found a way to, even a half day or 2 class periods. My other question was, this coming week, not this week, the next week, you've got your band and chorus. Is it only 8th graders this year?
Yeah, they used to be called the All SAU Band and Chorus Concert. They actually used to do it on 2 separate nights. Music being as popular as it is, that program got huge to the point where we couldn't bring our entire chorus or band. So they've really limited just to 8th grade students, and it will be 1 concert and 1 evening. So that's next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock at Winnicott High School.
Thursday.
Is that Thursday?
27th?
No,
Yes.
27th. Tuesday.
I don't know.
Tuesday.
It is
Correct,
Tuesday, yeah.
And finally, your oratorical contest will be on April 4th at 6 o'clock.
It is.
right?
That's a highlight of our 8th graders.
Not to be
They're-
missed.
They're really incorporating their listening, speaking, writing and researching all into one final performance.
That's awesome.
Again, we're partnering with the Hampton Rotary. They'll send judges over, and that is on Thursday,
April 4th.
April 4th. Can I put a plug in for a couple more community events? Our student council is actually running a blood drive. It's an annual blood drive that we do, and that'll be on Monday, April 2nd. It's from 2 to 7 in the dining hall at Hampton Academy. Again, we appreciate the American Red Cross and our student council volunteers. So that's until 7 o'clock. So you can still work and still come over and give some blood. Our 8th grade students are putting on one more event to try to just get them right over the top for their end of the year activities. We're going to do a chili cook-off. It's always very popular. And that's going to be on Saturday, April 7th at 2 p.m. And that's in the dining hall. So if you like to eat chili, obviously you're very welcome to come. But if you're also a cook and have a recipe for chili and you want to try it in our competition, please give us a call at Hampton Academy, and we'll be glad to set you up with that. Can I take a minute to acknowledge a couple? I know that Dr. Costa had 3 teachers who went to a science symposium that was run by the state of New Hampshire last week. Hampton Academy had 2 teachers go and present. And if you're a teacher and you present in front of other teachers, there's nothing more nerve-wracking than that, and because all eyes are on you. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize Ali Muncie and Jim Paradzik. They shared a project they did on a performance task that involves around environmental camp and a Dr. Seuss book, which is unusual. But the performance task is a culminating activity, and it's a way to authentically assess if a child understands the concepts and the standards that are being taught. And so I'm very proud of them, as I'm sure Dr. Costa is, of her teachers who presented the same day. I think there's no better way to to share the good things that we do right here in Hampton than take it around the state, because we were quite proud of what they did, because they were acknowledged as doing things that other people aren't doing around the state, so we're both pretty proud of that.
Well, yeah, and just to follow up,
Can you get closer to the microphone?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, David. Thank you for that. It was kind of, we were unclear as to what was going to happen with regard to the weather. And so originally it was scheduled for earlier in the week, and they did wind up moving it to Thursday. And I have to say, it was just such a moment of pride. The three teachers that we sent, Mrs. Doust, Mrs. Henderson, and Miss Booton, were a little nervous about it. In fact, they felt like we're learning ourselves. We're not experts. But what they came to realize through their presentation and through interacting with a number of elementary educators around the state was where they were and how much they had accomplished. And I think they left feeling like rock stars. And I kind of joke about it, but it's really true. They were in a classroom that it was, you walked in, it was standing room only. And they basically walked the science teachers, their elementary science teachers, their administrators there, everyone there. They walked them through their process, explaining how they developed performance tasks, working off the Next Gen Science Standards websites, all the way to coming up with these meaningful, engaging performance tasks, rubrics, and had a great way of engaging the audience in their work. And so each of the teachers presented, and then afterwards it was time for Q&A. And people were taking pictures, and can I email you, and can I borrow this? And they were just blown away, because although they were unsure of their work, it really just validated how hard they've worked, where they've come, what they've accomplished, and how I think Hampton is really taking the lead. They were one of two elementary schools presenting, and it was one first grade teacher. So the fact that we had a great representation between the middle school and the elementary, it was a proud moment for all of us, I think.
Well
So
said.
thank you for saying that.
Yeah. David, was it the Lorax?
Yes, it was.
Excellent.
Yes.
Really impressive.
Dave, if I have a child and I got a report card, and it's a standard-based report card now, right?
Yes.
And I don't understand this. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense. What should I do?
Call me, absolutely. I have sat down, and our teachers will do the same. We'll sit down with you, and we'll take you through the card. I still have some videos out there. If they go to the Hampton Academy website and go to there's a scroll of YouTube, we have how to read the report card, how to understand what that means. But there's no substitute, again, for a face-to-face conversation. If someone's feeling unsure, please have them give us a call. We'll sit down with them.
And people have asked before, so they're not dumb because they don't realize what it means and stuff.
No, it's new to us too. This is the first year for us too. So, we're kind of feeling our way through. We have an expectation that students are proficient by the end of the school year in a certain standard. Well, I've placed that same expectation on myself and my staff. So we're working towards that. By no means are we necessarily proficient in every aspect of that report card, but we're working towards it, and that the students are too.
And this is a pilot that will be reevaluated and reassessed at the end of the year.
Well, it's not a pilot per se, but that's our report card. We take a look at everything every year, every program, everything we do in the school, and we reevaluate. There's some tweaking to do, no doubt, and probably some more education to do. But I think that standards are the way to go.
On a positive note, how about the dance you had last Friday?
We had our first, actually it's our second student council dance. We actually don't call it a dance anymore because, dance implies that boys have to dance with girls, and that's, in the middle school that can be very intimidating. So we now call it a social so we offer alternative activities. So last Friday night, we had about 125 students and about a dozen staff members. And we, not only do we have a DJ and there was music, but we also opened up the gym upstairs and we played a game called Crack It, which is somewhat like dodgeball, but it's everybody against each other. So it's a little chaotic, but the kids like that. We also had an opportunity for some life-size games. We had some life-size Jenga games going on. A yard game called Cornhole, where you throw a beanbag onto a board, and a ladder ball. For kids who aren't dancers, or who aren't competitive like that, it offered another opportunity for them to do something and engage with each other. So we had pizza from a local restaurant, we had snacks, and it was a good time had by all, I would say. And it was a great way to end. We ended the trimester, so that was the last day of the trimester. We started our third trimester on Monday. Report cards will be available next Monday, the 26th, and conferences in all 3 schools are next Wednesday, the 28th.
Which is early release day for parents.
Yes, it is, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say that we'll have to not have the special ed director's report, because I never saw you over there, I just saw you. Jess? I didn't think you were here.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Any questions on my report?
Can you maintain this month? Wait till next, right? Yeah.
Just keep doing the great work you're doing.
Absolutely. Holding on here.
Thank you.
So the Minister of Pupil Services, Director Parsons, smiled at the board.
Greg, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Thanks.
Busy as
Yeah, I moved.
you move.
Yes, so
All right.
past month I've been moving from one location to another in town, so that was very busy. But now I have a garage full of boxes and taking my time slowly unpacking them. Great, they're finally now in, and that makes it a lot
It's
better.
good.
But busy at work as well.
Yes.
You move from one end of town to another end of town?
Literally like a mile away by the crow flies, but we need a bigger house for our dog and cat and 3 kids, so. yeah.
Yeah.
When you have to do editing report cards as needed, what does that entail?
That's Pam taking a look at anything that needs to be changed in the report card, that, you know, if there's any minor, if there's suggestions in the team, if there's something that needs to be updated, Pam is making those changes. So I just call Pam, I'd have to ask a little bit more detail to Pam what she did, because she said, you know, I need to make edits, that's been done.
And do you have to make a lot of different changes in Power School for next year?
No, it sounds like the schedule's going to stay the same, but Pam, there's always little things that come up between, you know, a teacher either pointing something out or asking you something. Once again, I have to defer to her on that, but Pam handles all of Power School, so I usually ask her every month anything you'd like to add to the board packet. So those were just suggestions she gave me, so I'd have to get some further detail on what actual edits or changes she makes.
And how are we on the Chromebook issue? I see we're looking at the new Chromebooks.
I purchased one because we bought Lenovo Chromebooks last year, and Keith, which I'm not sure if all of you have met Keith, if Keith is here tonight recording, does all the repairs and has found them somewhat difficult to repair in comparison to the Dells that we have in district. And he has also found that the support from Lenovo hasn't been as good as support from Dell. So we decided to look at what are some other options for next year. So we brought in a new Dell. And the nice thing about Dell is the power supplies are the same as the power supplies we've had in district forever, so they can swap out. But the other thing to keep in mind is that a directive out of Google has been that all future Chromebooks, I don't know when the date is they have to have that done by,
will eventually go to USB-C for charging. So I'm also looking to possibly bring in HP is the first one that I've seen that has in the cheaper clam shell ones that we have in the district, USB-C chargers. So that is the way that they all will go. And the nice thing about that is future proofing is that if we decide one year we don't want to go with one and we want to go to another, those chargers will still work. Where the current situation is that if you have a Dell, the Dell chargers have to move with the Dell Chromebooks. And if you have a Lenovo, the Lenovo chargers have to move with the Lenovo Chromebook. So during the summer, it isn't just a matter of moving 1,000 Chromebooks from one grade to another. It's now having to move those power supplies with them, so taking them out of a cart and putting them into the new cart. So that's just a little extra work you might need. So any way that we can streamline that is great. So we're going to be looking at, as we continue this process, hopefully of going one-to-one in the future, is having it easy so that the power supplies don't hand into the device. So that's why we're looking for 2 different models of Dell that's in district. And Keith has actually taken it and tested it for durability as well. So we take it, we drop it, we kind of kick it around. The things that might happen by a student, we want to duplicate that to see, instead of spending $100,000 on a mistake that we don't want to be stuck with for 3 years, we want to make sure that this is the best choice. So I think it's a great investment, and it gives him a chance to repair it if it does break, to really see what's involved now that this thing has broken. But thankfully, the Dell we've got didn't break. Yeah, so it's been great. So that may be the choice for next year. We'll do so.
Final question. Can you give me a little update on Facebook, Twitter? Do we monitor that?
Yes. And
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I'll post, I see on my stream on Facebook, so when I'm looking through my normal Facebook stream that all of you look through, I also see the districts. So I'm constantly monitoring that. I also get notified when something gets added to that. I have 2 Facebook accounts, so one's with work and one's with my personal. So I often will either post as the district or as my district profile or as the district itself account on Facebook or Twitter. I actually posted during tonight's meeting about the students and their artwork. So I, from my phone at any time, can look at that stream. So I also get notifications about what's been, so I follow both pages, so I'm looking at that constantly. I also post anything for snow days as a primary example. What we've set up this year is streamlined to, when I announce a snow day, I used to have to call Dave at 5:30 in the morning and say, Dave, can you get the message out to X, Y, and Z? Well, I'm doing it to A, B, and C. It's just a lot of different places. With our new messaging system, I can simply get a call from Kathleen at 5:30 in the morning and record my voice telling people about the snow day, type up a message and an email. Thinking about the length of that, I can sometimes often copy that, paste it right into a Twitter post, right onto the Facebook page, right into an RSS feed, which appears on a digital sign right out in front of the school. And then when I hit send, it goes to all of those places all at once. And then I go back and check and make sure that they appeared on the pages. So, yeah, and I can also select each of the schools, so I've taken ownership of each of the schools' Facebook pages so that when we're sending out a message via Facebook, it can go to all those pages uniformly, so there's a way of checking that stuff. So, and then I know Center does some of their own posting, so I'm once again monitoring that in my own stream.
And what about students and access to Twitter, Facebook? Yeah.
If they post on it on their own account?
No, using school.
Well, there is an age limit to having an account for Facebook, so we things to Go Guardian in place. We block access to the students to being able to post to social network as a request by the principals. When they ask it, they say, can we block Facebook? We block it. So therefore, they would have to be doing it from their own device under their own account, which by policy of those things, they shouldn't have one anyway. So whether it's being allowed by the parents, whether the parents know or not, is then another discussion if that was to happen. But we haven't had any real instance yet where that's been an issue on our Facebook or Twitter account.
If a child were to have a Chromebook that they got themselves, could they bring it into school, have you check it all out, make sure it's got all the filters and whatever on it, and use it at school?
We can't monitor that because there's a licensing associated with that. We would have to then pay for the license to monitor their own personal account, which becomes an issue, I'm sure, as we talk about the budget. So,
Okay.
could the parents set something up on their own? Sure.
But they
They're-
couldn't bring it into our school and use it, right?
They could as a guest. We have our BYOD policy in district where they can bring their own device. That policy though does state that that's by the request of the teacher, that they take it out during a certain activity and then put it away. Because as you can imagine, if we just let them take out their
Right.
device, then they want to result in some issues and problems. So.
And how about YouTube? How closely is that monitored? How much can they see or not see?
It's safe surfing, filtering. I mean, none of that is perfect at any time. I forget the number of how many things are posted to YouTube and to the web in any second, but it's a crazy amount of material that gets posted every second on the internet. So you can imagine that a filter is only as good as they can be. Really, our key here is in educating our youth. Coming from me, I will tell you that our best defense in preparing our children for the future is to educate them on how to be responsible digital citizens. We could play that I'm going to block game all day long, and they'll play the whole game of I'm going to find a way around your block. And we really do them a disservice because when we're no longer blocking them or when they're out on their own, they're going to want to go to the thing we're blocking to see why are you blocking it. And then now they're putting themselves in an unsafe situation. So I always talk to anybody that wants to have the discussion with me about how do we be the educators we should and teach them about being the responsible digital citizen instead of just trying to block them from what we don't want them to get to and stop the opportunity from them getting to things that may be beneficial in their growth. So Facebook, on YouTube is open for our students to use as a tool. It is somewhat filtered and it is monitored. So I, on a daily basis, will get flags through Go Guardian and I will let the principals know that something has come up. If it's something that's an issue they need to speak with the student about, they do.
Thanks.
And if we need to, we can put them in it's a habitual problem, is a thing that's blocked from everything except for certain things we only want to be able to get before.
Are
Thank you,
students
Greg.
aware?
Thank you.
Just are students aware that when they post on these public websites, like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, that sometimes what they post today could hurt them in the future, say for employment, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, our teachers do a great job of trying to remind them about the digital citizenship and the footprint that they leave behind, but kids will be kids. And no matter how much an adult tells them, sometimes you have to learn through experience. I mean, we all grew up and made stupid mistakes, right? They come back to haunt us later, and sometimes that unfortunately follows you for a long time. So we take that as a teachable moment, and just say, hey, look, this is why we don't, want to do X, Y, and Z. Come back to haunt.
Thank you.
Well, also, there's a part of this puzzle that we haven't mentioned, and that's parents need to also be involved in what's going on Twitter, on Facebook, and personal devices that their children have.
Yeah, I mean, I have it happen my own son. I mean, if you walk into a room and all of a sudden the phone has gone back to a home screen, you say, well, what were you just doing? Why did you just get up?
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
He was checking the weather, Greg.
Didn't want me to know about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna snow tomorrow.
Expect the 5:30 call.
Superintendent's report?
So my report's pretty standard. I don't know if you have any questions.
No.
I think I'll leave it at that because I would like it if I could, to bring to you some discussion around snow days, speaking of the 5:30 calls, and having a discussion about it. Is that all right? Unless you have questions on my report, something that I might be able to address, but everybody's kind of touched upon it. One thing I will say about SB 193, because that's been a huge interest for you, that is stalled. Finance Committee, again, Finance is very reticent about dealing with this bill. And they put it off until April before anybody will talk about it. But they've made changes again. I mean, every time you turn around, there's changes. Now they've withdrawn the $1,500 that they were going to give to every district for students who chose to use that account. That's gone. I think Neil Kirk, the chairman of the finance, feels the fiscal impact of this bill would be incredible on the state of New Hampshire to try to cover those costs. So, we'll see. It's a wait and see game with this bill. I think there's a real strong effort to put it into interim study, get it off the docket, and get a committee to begin to study it a little bit more carefully. But really, anything else in my report? You good? Well, obviously, some of you have heard about, everybody's been getting information and emails and suggestions and what we can do with snow days. So I put together a brief, if I could give it to you tonight, a brief overview of where we're at. I also attached to my overview the calendar, so because when we refer to dates, you'll have a better idea about what I'm talking about. So if I can walk through this, obviously, you know that the instructional hours are a priority, always have been in this district, and so I always keep that in mind. However, this year has been no easy task with the extreme weather that we've experienced. Again, Hampton always seems to rise above. You have a 182-day requirement for instructional time for your youngsters. You also offer 5 3/4 instructional hours each day at the elementary level and 6 hours at middle school level, which is our maximum. So you go to the degree that you can for every minute. This year, July 14th was scheduled for the last day for students. You had scheduled it as a half day. Students would have an early dismissal on their last day. And the last day for our instructional staff was June 15th. However, this year we've had 7 days in which school was canceled. We also had 1 early release day, and we've had 2 delayed openings, which represented almost 51 hours of instructional time. Quite a bit of time. That's well over, right now, I think your week is somewhere around 35, 36 hours. So you can see you've gone to about a week and a half of missed instructional time. So I offer to you, what are the alternatives for you? What do we do? So we make no adjustment at all, and we just move to hours rather than school days, and you meet the minimum requirement. When Nathan was great, he helped me with doing a, let me grab it, it's right here. Now I have it. We did an analysis of all of the hours that occur, thank you, that occur during the school year, and when we looked at Center and we looked at Marston, remember they need 945 hours in order to meet minimum standard. That's what an elementary school. Right now, even with the days off and the time lost, they were at 987 hours. Now you ask yourself, why is that? And why are other school districts having to add minutes or days or whatever? It's because they don't have as long a day as the youngsters here in Hampton have in elementary and middle school. So they automatically make up the time by virtue of a longer day without going over the requirement. Are you following me on that? Okay. So I wanted to kind of be clear on that. I actually figured out Marston was like 1,046, I think. No, 1,062 for the year. So they were almost 110 hours more than what you needed. And the same scenario for middle school.
The number that we were talking about was the 180-day calendar that the state recommends or directs assumes 5.5 hours of instruction a day. That's where you get your 990 of instruction, right? And in our case, we were talking earlier, 6 hours of instruction. So we get more on the fly.
And you have 2 days. You always add 2 days, right, to your instructional calendar. So we do need that. I just want to be clear about that.
Kathleen, I have a question for you.
So can I just finish this,
Yeah,
Frank,
yeah.
and maybe then I can answer some? So if we adhere to the current days in the calendar, the 182, and established by the board last fall, that would mean it would result in students being dismissed on June 25th and teachers on June 26th, which is the last week in June. Okay, I'm just putting information out here. I'm not, this is for you to contemplate. So, I tried to come up with some ideas about what we could do. You could waive your 2 extra days. That would, you've already met minimum, you could waive those 2 extra days. Nathan and I originally thought we would ask for 2 days of waiver from the state, right? Especially because of the issues at the beach. We had some significant flooding, right? And so it only made sense to ask for a waiver. But as we walk through this, there's no need for a waiver because the state won't give us a waiver. And the reason they won't give us a waiver, not that they wouldn't, they don't have to because we already meet the minimum standard for hours. So, you've heard on TV that school districts got waivers. No one got waivers. We called, we asked. No one received waivers because they met the minimum standard of hours. But they all go by days, and we do. We submit our calendar by days, by the way. I don't ask for hours, we submit by days. But because this extreme happened, we can use the hours. The other thing I suggested was add an additional day to the current calendar, moving the last day from June 4th to June 15th. You could do that. I also thought if you wanted to make up some of the days, still keeping your high expectations for hours, we could go on 2 Saturdays. I would offer suggestions of March 31st and April 7th, and do 2 Saturday mornings to make up for some of the 7 days lost. And those days we would dismiss it, like a release day, 12:30 and 1 o'clock respectively for each of the buildings. The teachers, there's another issue, of course, teachers and staff, not just teachers, but paraprofessionals and all the other staff. They have a 188-day contract, and they would be required to work until, what did we finally come up with? We actually had to change this up.
Sorry,
Teachers' Day was the
26th.
26th of June would be their last day.
As long as we don't miss any more days,
Right.
weather, 26th.
So you can see where the 26th is in your calendar, okay, so that's the issue.
Well, if I may, I think the one issue that we can put to bed is that the teachers have to work their 188 days. Whether it goes to the 26th, I don't know if we can do that. We probably can, I don't know.
Well, they can't go beyond the 29th, I think that's in
Can't
the
go beyond the
contract.
30th of the month.
30th, okay, I'm sorry.
So how that works out, we don't need to talk about that because that's gonna happen. The Saturday issue would be probably the most volatile one because it would interfere with an awful lot of things. Bus company able to work on Saturdays?
Well, they have a contract for us to provide transportation, so, they have an obligation. We
Okay.
sign a contract for X amount of days, and remember, if the days are forgiven, they still get paid.
I go back a long time, in a former SAU, we had a similar situation, we had a Saturday school day. You probably remember that. We didn't have great attendance, and I think you have to have a certain percentage of attendance.
Do you remember the April vacation that we lost 2 or 3 days? We had to go in 2 or 3 days?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they did go in on April vacation.
I didn't suggest April vacation. It's late.
Yes.
And if it were early on and we had this problem, you could say April vacation. But we're just a few weeks away from a time when families gather and take time away together. And I didn't feel, because of the lateness of the time, that it was appropriate to pull that now. So I didn't put it in as one of your alternates, but it could be if you so choose.
No, I think people are having, a little upset about that because they've already made plans to go away, and that's gonna interfere with that.
I would think that the Saturdays on the 31st and the 7th might impact HYA, but I don't know that for sure. I don't know if their programs have
Well,
started.
it would on the 31st, the 7th is opening day, but as you said, there's still snow on the ground.
But 31st is Easter weekend too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if families go away.
Yeah, right.
I would like to say just two things,
Yeah, I'm
One,
done.
we may be dealing with an extra day because of tomorrow, we don't know. Okay, so that's something to consider. The second thing is, and I've spoken about my concern to Kathleen, is the building renovations. The sooner you get them in, the better off you are. Case in point, they're gonna be starting to work on the kitchen. Okay, we don't know what they're gonna find, and that's, if we delay this thing further, it's gonna be 2 weeks what we're pushing back. Don't forget, they've lost days too on the construction part in the snow. Okay, because they weren't working when it was heavy snow, and then they had to come back and plow and do everything else to get in. So, you've got that concern, you've got cost overrides that may occur on the building. So you've got all that to weigh in. I'd like to ask Kathleen what her recommendation is. Put you on the spot.
I will always support instructional hours. However, I really believe this year we've had extreme conditions. I don't know what we're gonna experience tomorrow morning. And then we're still not finished March, so I think we should make an attempt to fill some hours, but we also should be very sensitive to the number of days we've been out and the fact that we do meet minimum standard. We do meet minimum standard. I want to be very clear about that.
Are we making a decision on this tonight, or is this brought to us for information?
I think we need to make the decision tonight. I think there's too many things going on.
We have a lot of people that are really anxious to hear about what we're doing. There's been a lot of chatter about it, and I think if we can come to some agreement, if we can't tonight, perhaps a special meeting, we could meet next week. But I think the sooner we can, I think it will alleviate a
We've got
lot of
construction
the
crews
worry.
that we have to be concerned about. We have
Sure.
a lot of things.
I would just like to make sure that we've heard from some of the people who are invested in this. I'd like to hear from the teachers' organization, how they feel about this. I'd like to kind of hear from staff members, how they feel about this. Have we had any, and parents, have we had any chance to talk about this with SAU 21? Because it would be nice if it went.
Not yet.
We don't have to.
No, we
They
have
don't
to.
talk to us, so I feel.
Well, I haven't talked to 21. I have talked to the Teachers Association, met with them on Monday to talk to them, but, they're not in the position yet to really give me much feedback. They know they have a 188-day contract, and their attitude is, we have to do that. I will say that I heard from some teachers that they prefer working with the children at that time of the year and rather stay with the kids, but everybody is a little, everybody has a different opinion. We did get several emails from parents. Most of the 2 emails that I got from parents both indicated they would like to add minutes onto the end of the day.
Well, we can't do that because of the
Well,
state.
we're already at maximum, so that doesn't really help us.
So are you proposing, based on what I'm seeing, are you looking at staying with June 15th with the kids? If we can add some additional time?
You could stay with June, well, actually, the day they were supposed to get out was the 14th. You could go to the next day, which is Friday.
Yeah.
The 14th is Thursday. You could go to Friday.
And that's not gonna hurt anybody.
No, it's not gonna hurt anything.
No. Or you
But
could go into
also-
the following week and make up a few days. To me, that's really where you should be
I'm looking
at.
at getting the building done.
Yeah.
That's my
understand.
concern. You get them in
I
there,
understand.
I don't wanna go into a cost override, okay, over a day or two. And That's what we're gonna be, that building has to be ready, because they're gonna come back. When do they start school?
August 29th, I believe, this year,
Oh,
29th?
so we're looking at
28th?
four-
Okay,
You're
28th.
looking at
You're looking
about
at
9
10
weeks.
weeks,
Yeah,
9 to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
If we stay with the 15th, if you cut into it, you're looking at less time, and it may not be ready.
I wouldn't say that,
I
Frank,
wouldn't say
until
that.
they tell us
Right.
that it
I
won't be
would say
ready.
But I'm
I
just
wouldn't
saying.
say that, because that gets all people all nerved up. And then people are already nerved up, and I love opinions, and I don't mind getting them, but please put your name on it. You know, if you're gonna send me, email telling us what you think of us, that's fine, but just put your name on it.
If we don't have to make a decision on this tonight, I would like to come back in a couple of weeks, have a meeting just for this, and decide what we're gonna do. I can tell you right now, me personally, I don't think Saturdays would be the way to go.
What about those half days? You got 3 early release
Yeah,
days.
the problem with the half-days is they already count for full day.
Oh,
Oh,
So I can't not have them, and unfortunately, they're crucial at this time of the year because the teachers are doing all of their preparation for next year. So it's a crucial time for them, and it is time they need.
and don't the teachers,
They could do it at the end of the year, but some of the information that they do now goes home with the kids before they go home, like class selection and all that.
but also with this building reorganization, don't you have teachers moving?
We have some teachers moving that are gonna need time, but they're not gonna be able to move in June. They will not be able to move until August. I did talk to the Teachers Association about how we could handle their 7 days. That's something that we're talking about, and I haven't received any information back from them yet. I suspect I will. I have another meeting with them next week, on the 29th, right? So I think I'll get an inkling from them how they feel about it. But I did reach out to them.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Les. And the more we get into April, you get into sports. Spring sports starts, and I think we're gonna lose kids at that point. That's it.
I'd like to call for a special meeting for next Wednesday night. And during the time between
The
now
28th?
and then, and it doesn't have to be the 28th, I just wanted it still in the month of March if possible. And between now and then I would encourage parents, teachers, staff, administration, students. I just would encourage anybody and everybody that feels some sort of investment in this to get in touch with your office, us, anybody, to let us know how you feel so that we can come to a decision that will benefit and be palpable to the most number of people. I would like to give people some time to give input, but I understand we don't want to take it too far. We need to make a decision. So that's why I was calling for maybe the 28th or the 29th next week, have a quick special meeting and make our decision then.
And hold a special meeting at the SAU?
Yeah.
So you're gonna not do anything with the 31st of March, where we could fit
No,
one in before?
I would say the
Okay.
Saturdays are off the table, in my opinion,
Okay.
if we're all
I thought maybe
agreed
we could
with
put
that.
one on, okay.
But all the other options, I would love to hear from the public and the school personnel.
What do you think the options are now? So
The
let's be
options would
clear.
be to finish on 14th, finish on June 15th, to go sometime into the next week, to like the 20th maybe. To me, or to not make up any days at all.
Which would be the
Which would
14th.
Right. So those are the options, but I'd like to have some input from the public and from,
Well, for clarification
School
purposes,
district
we would have the
personnel.
hours if we wanted to end on the 14th, but I would say if we're going to 14th, we might as well do the 15th.
I would, yeah.
Okay, and then if we do the 15th, all right, then I'm comfortable with that because that gives us at least 9 weeks for the construction crew to do their job, okay? That's a a significant concern to me, and it gives times for teachers to move in, but they still have to have 188 days, right? So where does that bring them if we ended on the 15th?
The 26th. First week, which is a bit problematic, so I'm working with the teachers. I suggested some things to Mr. Croto and Mrs. Murphy, and made some suggestions about how we might handle that. Because I have, on the 26th is the day that I start, June 26th, we start Camp Invention, our science camp, which is over 110 kids in it, here in Marston. So, we do Marston this year? Yeah, Marston. So I'm talking to the teachers about what else might we do? And I felt like my responsibility was to provide for those 188 days, and that's my responsibility to make sure that that happens. The end. How we do it, I'll of course share with you.
Well, I
But
think
it will be
you-
done, so that's all, I mean, you're not,
I think you spelled the options out pretty well. The 31st is an Easter weekend.
No, but I think 2 Saturdays would be advantageous. I know you're opposed to it, but,
Not
You
Easter
know,
weekend.
no, I agree with the not Easter weekend, okay? But I think the sooner you get them done, the better off you are. So the 7th, to me, looks like a feasible date, and maybe the 14th. Now, I understand about sports, I'm just throwing those dates out, don't have to be those dates. Okay, I understand about sports and everything, but you're still in the ground. I think you're gonna be playing sports.
Be surprised.
No,
Okay, so you made a motion?
Can I make a motion?
I thought you did.
I made a
No.
recommendation. I'll
Okay.
make a motion that we put this off for a week, have a special meeting
Enough time you posted.
next
28th,
Wednesday or
March
Thursday.
28th.
How does that work for everyone, the 28th?
Works fine with me.
Meeting
5:30.
5:30, and we'll make a decision then. And in the meantime, we would encourage everyone who feels like they need to give some input. We would welcome all input, to send their input to superintendent's office, or to us, or to the principals, whatever. I just think we need as much input as possible so we can make a decision
I'd
that's.
just like to add to that, I'd like to say that Kathleen, touch base with the staff, get their feedback. I know you're reaching out to parents, but if we can get some feedback from the staff on all 3 schools.
yeah,
And hopefully in the union.
Okay, so what are we asking the staff? Just what would they like to do with their students, or what they prefer for their students? Because they still have to go, we're not getting involved in the 188.
That's what I would like to
No,
find out,
no,
what they would prefer to do with their,
Well,
with
we're
their student time.
we're seeing that Saturday is a
Yeah.
viable option.
Well, just order, have a motion on the table. I think we should either have a second to it, or...
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion on the motion?
I think we should get as much feedback as we can on the Wednesday.
Okay, point of order, if we end June 15th, then we have met our instructional
absolutely.
hours.
You met them.
We met them on June 4th.
You met them on the 14th, but I figured,
Met 'em on
again.
You met them on,
Now, the 15th in case of tomorrow.
But I
Yeah.
know a lot of teachers do want to spend time with their students to finalize and,
Well, that was going to be their normal time anyway.
Right.
I mean, so they anticipate that. All I'm saying is that the anecdotal feedback I got from some was that they actually preferred time with their students rather than 7 days of professional development. And again,
yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So that's why I asked John and Amy if I could offer some alternatives, and I've been doing that. I am more than willing to look at flexing some of those days for them. They still have the 188 contract, like you said, but allow me to work with them. I wouldn't do anything that they didn't want to do. I'll say that right up front. I mean,
I think we're trying to be accommodating to all.
I do, I think.
So, before we vote, are you both good with that next
Well,
Wednesday?
Wednesday
are you
night?
okay with 5:30 on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And a location to be determined?
No, it's
SAU,
SAU.
SAU office, at the-
Oh, the SAU office, okay.
Double check.
5:30. Okay, further discussion? Ready for the vote? All those in favor of the motion? 5-0.
Great, thank you so much. I know it's not an easy one. Yeah, I think you folks feel free. In fact, we're gonna take a 3-minute break.
I just want to make a.
Do you want us to come back with that
On
information
the
regarding?
April meeting?
Get
But
the
then running
information
off
to the
the-
superintendent.
Yeah, you do on the extension.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to order. It
We
is
have pizza on Wednesday.
8:18.
Oh,
Can I
yeah.
have Sundays too?
Mr. Lenny,
Oh.
Business Administrators Report.
Listen, I would ask if you had any questions on my report. No news is good news, I guess. The financials continue to look about the same. The project report is included. Maybe I mentioned that earlier from the building committee meeting. It all looks good. Things are going well. You signed the MS-22, which is the end of the annual report cycle. You do need to grab one more signature before you go tonight. I think it was Andy that I missed. So I'll get your signature on that form, and then we're all set. So, are there any questions? Sorry.
You've got some over budget issues. I know you got it covered.
Yep.
You know, obviously, special ed is you know about, but, substitute teachers, you know.
Well, some of that, I've mentioned that before.
Kathleen explained it to me, so I understand that.
Yeah,
I mean,
but here's, go back to your first page.
Yeah.
So go back to your first page and look at the 3 school salaries. Look at the savings, look at the leftovers at the
Oh,
bottom
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
the 3 schools.
90, almost
So
100,000.
some of that, I said this before, and I don't move it because it's easier for me to just watch it. Well, there's some savings, and some of it's because when a teacher is not earning sick leave and goes off, the substitute should be charged to that account, and in this case, you're seeing really all the subs are still charged to the sub line, and we have to shift it over. So, but what this does is it does do exactly what you're paying attention to, which is, wow, that's a lot of money being spent on subs, and it is, it's we're hit pretty hard.
I'm just worried that, I understand that,
Yep.
okay, no problem, I think, with that, but special ed needs a lot of that.
Oh, yeah, the cushion is not, it's correct.
And that's.
Which was
you know,
not intended,
Still
but, yeah,
have
that-
March, April, May, and June.
Are we going to be okay on that shuttle? The bus shuttle for the
Yeah, I mean,
6th graders?
we didn't, again, it's gotta come out of the bottom line.
Okay, so we'll find that at the end of the year.
So, I haven't asked the question and had it answered yet, but it would be good to say it publicly and maybe begin the process. If you don't have students go to school for 182 school days, and they do something less than that, it seems reasonable to me that the bus company may have a claim for some costs related to amortizing the capital cost of the bus, but they would not have the labor cost of drivers for those days or the fuel cost for mileage on those days, and there ought to be some consideration for days that they don't have to provide service. And I'm hoping that they will agree to help, depending on what decision you ultimately make next week for the end of school. Any days there ought to generate some savings, which I hope will offset some of that shuttle cost.
Sure.
Not because I intended to, it's
Could
convenient.
you have a conversation between now and
I
next
will,
week with them
absolutely.
and find out what their thinking is on that?
Yep, absolutely.
They may be having conversations with a lot of different districts. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Lenny?
Oh, actually, one more. So if, depending on what we decide next week, that will have an impact on the school lunch budget.
Oh, absolutely.
Lost revenues, lost expenses, but we saw that last year it seemed to have a
not a positive, but it was a.
Well, it was a balancing, maybe,
Right,
yeah.
a balance.
We should be able, because we're not gonna be using food, so the cost ain't there, and we're not gonna be using the
Labor.
work staff,
Labor.
labor.
So three little, I mean, just a little comments quickly. One, remember that when you have that conversation, not only do the teachers have contracted days, but you have, by the salaried arrangement we have under the collective bargaining agreement now with our paraprofessionals, you will have already paid a salary, and the paraprofessionals will owe 6 days beyond. So that's another element that the superintendent will have to work on in terms of scheduling and staff resource usage. The second thing was, you're right, food service workers, although there's no commitment there, they're hourly wage earners, will be without a week plus of, of work. All other positions generally, though, will continue to do the functions that they provide for custodial staff, for clerical staff, et cetera, so.
Jessica and I reached out to their president, Mrs. McCoy, and so Jess and I will meet with her to talk about this issue.
Any
Jackie.
other questions for Mr. Lunny?
Jackie McCoy.
Yeah, no, I know that, what was her response?
Oh, we haven't met with her yet. Jess is setting it up.
Thank you, Nate. I believe that's the nominations.
Yes, we do. We'd love to do that. So it's that time of year, and I, as your superintendent, am pleased to bring forward the nomination of staff for the 2018-2019 school year. So I am recommending, if we want to start, we could start with, I think, what's the first list? Is it center in your packet? So if we could start with the center school as presented, I offer those names for your consideration for a contract for 2018-19.
Do we have a motion?
So,
Okay, moved Frank, seconded Pepper. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5-0.
As we go through, same holds true for Marston. I'm pleased to recommend, as presented on your worksheet, the folks from Marston School.
Motion, Ginny?
yep.
Seconded Andrea. I did that side last time, so I'll do this side. Seconded Andrea. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye, 5-0.
And last of our three schools is Hampton Academy, and I'm pleased to present the list that you have in front of you that is part of your packet for renomination for the 18-19 school year.
Moved Pepper, second. Frank? All those in favor? Okay.
Reluctantly, and I offer you the letters of resignation I have received to date. You could take these. I would ask that you accept the resignation of Jackie Reynolds, special education teacher at Hampton Academy.
Anybody want to make a motion? Andrea?
Second.
Seconded Ginny. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 5-0. Okay, and this one is, accept my resignation from my position as a 6th grade special ed teacher at Hampton Academy. At the end of this year, I've enjoyed working with students and staff. Appreciate the opportunities that I've had for personal and professional development. Sincerely yours, Tiffany Toby. Motion to accept? Andrea, second?
Second.
Ginny, discussion?
How many special ed teachers are we?
We've received 2 resignations. You have them tonight.
And how many openings
There'll be 2 as of
Two.
tonight, but I
Okay,
anticipate.
so you have, well,
Right.
this is 2,
Right.
and 1 at Marston, right, there are 3 openings?
we have a motion for Tiffany Toby. All those in favor? 5-0. All of them? No, we have,
And last is the reappointments for your building administrators for Center School, Mr. Lannon at Marston School, Dr. Coster and Mr. Sadler as the assistant, Hampton Academy, David O'Connor as principal, and Davila as assistant principal. District-wide, Jessica Parsons, special ed director, Gregory Lamperis, check director, and Janine Richards, outreach coordinator.
motion, Frank,
Motion to accept.
second, Pepper. Discussion? All those in favor? 5-0.
That takes care of the nominations.
Okay. Do we have to go into non-public? Okay. All right, we'll be going into non-public under,
Just a recommendation, should we just go through the minutes of last meeting, then we go into non-pub, and we can get out of here?
okay, yeah, we can do that. We can go through the minutes. We also have, yes. Sorry. That's right, it's not closed.
That's correct.
Just gotta make sure you throw anything else.
I know, I was wondering.
Is it okay to lose this thing?
Yeah, you can keep that.
Okay, we'll get you these after. So, can we get a motion to approve the minutes of February 13th? Moved Frank, seconded Pepper. Any discussion? All those in favor? I also have,
Now I ask, that was the public and non-public session?
yes, public and non-public. I also have just one copy of the deliberative session.
They all got it?
Oh, you all got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to approve that? Not much to it.
Make a motion to approve the deliberative session.
Seconded?
Second.
Judy. Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Pepper was an abstention. Okay, now we can go into non-public. Under,
RSA 91-A, -32A, roll call vote.
okay, roll call vote, Ginny?
Yes.
Andrea?
Aye.
Yes? Okay.
Who said?